10 minutes. Let's see how we go. Someone hit stopwatch. 9:36. I want to talk to you about the risk of Bitcoin, because with every investment, there's risk. Okay, and I'll preface by a conversation I had yesterday when a good friend called me up and said, Dinny, I know in 2021 and 2022 you were certain that Bitcoin was a screaming buy, and we had a massive argument over it because I said, how can you be certain? How can you say? You can't say that. And my analysis was just, I've done on this thing. It's blatantly obvious. It rallied to 70k. We're now back under 20k. It's not going away. This is just a market cycle. It's done these. In fact, this is the third one, or fourth if you want to count the first one. It's done 3 of these market cycles, so it's completely predictable. And in late 2024, it will happen again. And lo and behold, here we are. So we had to ring me up and say, Dinny, I'm sorry, because we had an argument over it. Okay, and it's like saying, how do you know if you go to the gym and you do all these exercises that your muscle's going to change shape? Well, the reason someone knows is, 1, they've seen people do it, thousands of people do it, and 2, maybe they've studied physiology and myology. I have. Okay, so it's quite predictable to be able to predict the future outcome when you understand what you're talking about. And when you have zero understanding of what you're talking about, it just seems like it's like pulling tarot cards or something. It's airy-fairy. You can't predict the future and something like that. How can you predict that? But it's completely obvious, and that's the difference between information and not having information. And essentially everything I do at Bitcoin with Dinny, all my consulting clients, all my Retire Early Club, is I just accelerate their journey into a deep understanding of Bitcoin so they can position themselves in a larger position so they get a better outcome. That's essentially it. Okay? Because with understanding comes conviction. Not necessarily conviction, but with understanding, the risk goes away. And this morning I just want to talk to you a little bit about the risk of Bitcoin today in 2024. Because it just hit 100k. I'm going to call it 100k. It was 100 and something off hitting 100k in dollars. We hit 100k. So Bitcoin in 2024, all the risk is gone. It's an easier bet today if I had 100 grand or $1 million sitting in a bank doing nothing, only letting governments print money, European central banks print money and devalue and steal my money. I'm losing my money either way. Remember, you lose 50% of your purchasing power every 10 years. And get this, I met a guy who bought a bond, 10-year bond. After 10 years, he earns $1,000. So he gives them 10 grand for 10 years and he gets 11 grand. This is the level of financial education a lot of people have. Like 10 years ago, imagine how much Bitcoin bought you could buy 10 years ago with 10 grand versus how much you can buy today. Like, that's the true measurement of currency debasement, is the amount Bitcoin has gone up, or anything that's scarce and desirable. How much has beachfront property gone up in 10 years? Okay? So people take risk all the time. They just don't understand they're taking risk because they don't understand what risk is, because they don't have the information. My job here is to try and help you have better information so you can make better decisions. Because as I always say, everything you know about Bitcoin is incorrect. If you understood Bitcoin, you'll already own the thing. Okay? It'll be your sole endeavor to acquire more Bitcoin. Now, this isn't financial advice. I can't give you financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a Bitcoiner. As I always say, if I was a financial advisor, I couldn't teach about Bitcoin. It would be against regulation for me to even speak about it. But I can promise you, a lot of financial advisors, Irish financial advisors, are my clients, and some of them own 7 figures worth of Bitcoin, even though they can't speak of it to their clients. And that's nonsense. But that's the world we live in. That's why I need you to share these videos, because the algorithm won't push this content out, and most people will end up in inferior products. So Bitcoin in 2024 is totally de-risked. Bitcoin in 2019 had way more risk in it. If I had 100 grand, it would have been much more difficult to buy 100 grand's worth of Bitcoin in 2019 than it is today. If I just came to Bitcoin, I'd done the work on it, maybe I was my client, I had all my questions answered satisfactorily, I understood where this thing is going, I understood how it works and the macro trends and the cyclic trends and the business cycle trends and the halving and how the mining works, and I understood all this. I'd take my 100 grand and I'd fire it into Bitcoin as quick as I could. That's what I'd do, because it's totally de-risked. Now I wouldn't fire it in to try and get rich at the end of the year, because the end of the year is only a month away. Or I wouldn't fire it in to try and get rich at the end of 2 years. To me, it'd be a decade play. It was like, okay, with this capital, I can't see a play. I can't see a decade strategy that I can do with this on a risk-return basis other than acquiring Bitcoin. The regulatory risk is gone. It's now been regulated. The largest capital market in the world is regulated. Europe will follow, UK will follow, they'll all follow. Okay? The government overreach is largely gone. Certainly Europe can do something silly, but Europe is woke and they'll have to go broke. That's why if you're in Europe, you must protect your future, because everything your governments are doing and Europe is doing, it's not going to be good for you or your family. Okay? And if you can't see that, look around. So you got to protect yourself. You got to understand that you have to protect your financial future. But in America's pro-freedom. Bitcoin is freedom technology, and this is why I say every conspiracy theorist who doesn't get Bitcoin is just a raving idiot. Okay? Because Bitcoin was built to protect people against all the conspiracies that you have, be they right or wrong. Bitcoin was built to protect you from them all. But some conspiracy theorists go round and round circles so many times. Sorry, the call coming in there from the blockchain security compartment, which is clearly a scam. So some conspiracy theorists that go round and round and round, and they literally feed the system they hate because they're so confused. So, how am I doing on time? Yeah, we got to end this. Bitcoin in 2024 is fully de-risked. It's regulated. The government overreach is gone. The institutional capital is arriving. It's clear that it's needed. Okay? Because the cost of living is ripping, and that's why Bitcoin was invented. So it's insurance on the future. All the banks are going to custody it. Some of them are taking regulators to court to allow them to custody more of it. It's just so de-risked. All of the risk is gone. And yeah, it's more expensive. But when you understand risk, you see, most people don't understand finance. They don't understand risk. You get paid for risk. The more risky something is, the more you get paid. So if someone did go and put 100 grand into Bitcoin in 2019, they took a hell of a lot of risk, and they deserved the returns that they got, because the risk was they could have lost all their money. There was a lot on the line there. Whereas in 2024, my analysis, all that risk is gone, baby. It's quite obvious the price of Bitcoin is going to be higher in a decade than it is today. It's blatantly obvious if you're to ask me. And it's probably going to outperform every other asset class, because Bitcoin is a new asset class. So it's going to outperform every asset class. And for some people, because they're atom splitters and they want to overthink things, okay, they're going to try and meddle and do things and realize that no, buying Bitcoin is it's too easy just to own Bitcoin and do nothing. There's no way it can be that simple. It can't be. Well, you do the work, but people a lot smarter than you have came to that conclusion, and that's the way they've positioned themselves. Guys, I'm out of here. 10 minutes. Stat. If you want to come to my free workshop in December, if you don't understand Bitcoin, it's called How to Retire Early on Bitcoin. Go onto my website. There's a link to it in the description of this video. And I'll also send you a letter I wrote to friends and family explaining Bitcoin in the simplest way possible when I tried to convince them all to buy it many years ago. Or just to understand it and use it many years ago. Go and get that. It's awesome, and that'll also get you notified for when my workshop is. Have a really good day, guys. Thanks for being here. And do me a favor, before you leave, just hit the like button. Give it a nice little press. And also copy the link and share it in your WhatsApp groups. Try and help your friends and family figure this out. They're all getting left behind. They're all getting steamrolled. They're all getting gaslighted because they're learning about Bitcoin from central banks teaching them about it. It's like the man who makes filing cabinets teaching you why the cloud is bad. You've got to think for yourself. You've got to be rational about these things. Have a super day, guys. Dinny out for now.